Hello and welcome to ETAuto Big Byte. Today we have Mr. Shashank Srivastava, Senior Executive Officer, Sales and Marketing, Maruti Suzuki India. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you.
So first of all, I would like to understand Maruti Suzuki's strategy. Maruti has been very aggressive about SUVs and have been launching products since April, May and now June. We have Invicto. What Maruti Suzuki is eyeing in fiscal year 2024?
Yeah, so we have said this before that SUV segment is very important because when you look at Maruti Suzuki's market share minus the SUV, that is if you remove the SUV from the overall passenger vehicle portfolio, our market share is 65%. But the moment you add SUV, then our market share falls below 45%. And therefore, if we want to achieve our midterm objective of getting that 50% market share, we need to improve upon our market share in the SUV sector. And both because of the largeness of the segment now, it's about 45% of the market now. Earlier, just a few years back, it was 22% or so. And also because it's fast growing. In fact, the projected growth of this segment is such that it should reach about 53-54% of the market in the coming years. So it's very essential. And one of the things which we realize is to the reason why we have only a 12.5% market share in the SUV segment, last year figure, is that we had just one product, which is the Brezza. And in that segment, we have 45 other brands. So obviously one brand against 45 brands is quite an unequal sort of competition, and we realized that we had to increase our portfolio in this segment. And that's the reason why last year we came into the mid SUV segment with the Vitara. We introduced it in the end of September last year, and the two vehicles, two SUVs which are very new, the Jimny and the Fronx, which we have done in this financial year. So now we believe we have a good portfolio and we should increase our market share in SUV segment, and that should help in our overall market share also. I'm happy also to tell you in this quarter we are now the number 2 manufacturer in SUV space for this quarter. And in fact, if you look at June figures alone, that we are neck to neck, we have a 21% market share and Mahindra also has 21% market share for the month of June. So we are getting there. We have stated that our targeted objective is to be the number 1 SUV manufacturer in this financial year, and also to be around that 24-25% market share.
You mentioned there are around 45 brands in particularly in this particular SUV segment. How aggressive Maruti Suzuki is going in terms of, because the segment is getting expanded, Honda is also coming in. What is your viewpoint in terms of the market expansion of this particular segment?
Yes, so as I mentioned, at the moment it's about 45% of the industry. This quarter it was 47% in the recent quarter, Q1 of this financial year. Our projected numbers are it should reach about 53-54% going forward. So it's going to continue to increase, and that is a substantial volume. You know, because we had last year about 15 lakh 50,000 sale was SUVs. About 8 lakh plus was in the entry SUV, 7 lakh 50 or 60,000 was in the mid SUV. So it's a very large segment, and therefore it's very important as I just mentioned.
Coming back to Invicto, what is your viewpoint in terms of what role do Invicto play in Maruti Suzuki's product portfolio? Because this is the first time Maruti Suzuki is stepping outside its 20 lakh plus zone. What is your strategy behind that?
Yeah, so if you look at the products in the less than 10 lakh category in terms of price, Maruti Suzuki has a market share of 62%, by far the market leaders. But a lot of people were saying that Maruti Suzuki will not be able to do well in the sector above 10 lakh. But if you look at the current market shares, even in the 10 lakh to 20 lakh category, Maruti Suzuki is the market leader. Of course, the market share is not as high as 62%, but we are the market leaders. Clearly, what we have shown, and this has been a strategy for a long time coming, because we started with the Nexa in 2015-16, where we wanted to attract consumers who are more aspirational. Up till that time, Maruti was known for more just reliability, value for money type of product, which is still very important. A lot of people in our country want that, they still have those criteria in mind. So we had this Maruti Suzuki Arena and we had the Nexa. we are happy to say that between the 10 to 20 lakh category also Maruti Suzuki is now the market leader. But with the Invicto, we are now getting into a segment which is beyond 20 lakhs. And just for your information of the audience, that up till 10 lakh, industry is roughly around 60% of the market. And between 10 to 20 lakh, it is about 35%. And 5% is above 20 lakh. So while in volume terms you may feel it's a smaller portion, but in terms of the image and the rub off that it will have on our overall brand and the other brands which we have in our umbrella, I think it's very critical, and that's why we are giving it such a great importance, even though in volume terms it may not be so large.
But Invicto is based on Toyota Innova High Cross, and supplies of that particular UV from Toyota is constrained, and there is a huge waiting period. How Maruti Suzuki will ensure the supplies of Invicto to its customers?
So it's like this agreement with Toyota, just like in terms of Glanza, which was our Baleno, and also the Brezza, which we used to supply to them as urban cruiser. There was a waiting period in Baleno also, but there was supplies of the Glanza and also for the urban cruiser when the Brezza was when we had a long pending bookings. So this is basically a rolling projections that we have. We discuss with Toyota and we arrive at a consensus that this is the volumes that you will do, whether it is Glanza, urban cruiser, or now the High Cross and the Invicto, and that is what is going to happen for the Invicto as well.
Okay. You have opened the bookings in Invicto quite some time back. What has been the response so far, and what are the expectations in overall from this product in terms of from the volume side, as you mentioned, the rub-off effect with the other brands? What role does it play in the overall product portfolio?
So we started the bookings of the Invicto on the 19th, which was last Monday,
yeah.
and last Monday, and we have so far got about 6,000 plus bookings, which is very good and large. Even though we haven't announced the price, just indicated that it would be the price would be above 20 lakh. So it's a fairly good number, I would say. And as far as its role in the brand, I've already said that Invicto will be our first brand above 20 lakh in the 20 lakh price category. I believe it is also our first foray which will establish that Maruti Suzuki can have sales in that category also, and the rub-off effect that it will have on the overall brands which we have within the Maruti Suzuki umbrella, I believe will be quite substantial.
Right. With your aggressive product launches in past few months, now I think Maruti Suzuki is no longer a small car manufacturer which is used to be called as, and now it's completely going towards UV manufacturing. If you talk about it, around 6, 7, 8 products in this particular portfolio, UVs?
UVs we have 6, yeah.
Yeah. So in that
this is the 7th one, the Invicto.
Yeah, 7th.
Yeah.
In that terms, should the brand positioning of the Maruti Suzuki, would be changing it in your communications, in your brand positioning, etc.?
As I mentioned, there are two sets of customers, Bharat and the India. The Bharat still has the attachment to those criteria which was there across the country earlier. Functionality, value for money, reliability, the great network, after sales service, low maintenance and so on, that still exists. It's a very large segment. So it's not as if Maruti Suzuki will simply disappear from that and go away from it. We are not going. And we have clearly we have to dominate that space. But at the same time, as economy has grown, there has emerged a type of consumer which is more aspirational. So from functionality moving towards more aspiration, and this is the customer that we are talking of, where the criteria of purchase is design, about features, about technology, and that is the customer we are also trying to address now, and we have to a large extent, as I said, up to the 20 lakh category we have become the market leaders, not just up to the 10 lakh category, and this is going to establish it even more, the move towards more aspiration, and that is something which Invicto should help us gain.
Thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you.